Alrighty then, my Jedi and Sith friends, hello there, and welcome to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend, and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today, as always, I've got the latest from the galaxy far, far away. And today we have some pretty surprising Star Wars updates. And we're going to begin with a big one. This one concerns a character we like to talk about quite a bit, Mara Jade, and at this point, Star Wars is simply messing with us, especially if you're a fellow fan of the expanded universe. There is no way around it. This is just getting ridiculous. How many times have they used Mara Jade in recent years for everything but bringing her into some kind of canon story? I'm not saying they necessarily should, but it's not us implying this stuff. It's Lucasfilm themselves. They're the ones who have Mara Jade on the mind, and that's why I keep having to bring the character up. There were reprints in the Essential Legends collection, we got an official Funko Pop of the character, there was also a mention in Rebuild the Galaxy which was completely unexpected, and yet, Lucasfilm has vetoed the use of Mara Jade in upcoming books, at least according to authors Claudia Gray and Timothy Zahn. A reason has never been stated. It might be a common opinion by some at Lucasfilm that it's difficult to incorporate her into modern canon, but Timothy Zahn himself has said he found a way around it. Moreover, he wants to write a book about Snoke. So imagine that. Imagine a post-episode 6 continuity where both Snoke and Mara Jade exist in the same timeline. And then there are those who say there's a chance that Dave Filoni has plans of his own to adapt some version of the character in future Mandoverse projects. There's also the Amy Adams theory, which is pretty exhausted at this point, so I don't have to talk about that again. But today, my friends, Star Wars has once again brought Mara Jade back, and this time it's for the mobile game Galaxy of Heroes. Now, it's not the first version of the character that we've had in this game, but they've just revealed the version from the Hand of Thrawn duology, which in case you don't know includes 2 of the best Star Wars books ever written. I was gonna say 2 of the best expanded universe novels, but I think that's underselling them. The 2 books are the sequel to the original Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. And the story follows Luke, Mara Jade, Han Solo, Leia, and the New Republic as a conspiracy uses Thrawn's legacy to try and restart the war between the New Republic and the Remnant. Rumors start spreading that Grand Admiral Thrawn has returned from the dead. Luke and Mara Jade start to investigate the mystery, while Leia works to prevent a political crisis. As the story unfolds, and don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it, someone is exploiting Thrawn's reputation to manipulate both sides, and this is set in 19 ABY. And this iteration of Mara Jade is literally lifted from the front cover of the second book. And listen, say what you will about this just being a game, but to me it's a very big deal. The game blurs the lines of canon and Legends characters, but to me, it's an official acknowledgement in 2026. And to add to the Legends references, her second special ability is titled The Last Command, which of course is the final installment of the Legends Thrawn trilogy. And something I've been hammering on about for the last 2 years is the fact that Lucasfilm seems aware of the popularity of the expanded universe. It's why years ago they brought Thrawn back. They've done the same with others, bringing them into canon, and of course, more and more Legends action figures. And so I have to wonder if other parts of the expanded universe are being planned for Dave Filoni's roadmap. Other characters they revealed as part of the upcoming Myths and Legends era include Darth Jar Jar, another theory they've been leaning into with the Lego stuff, not to mention we're also getting Luke Starkiller, one of the earliest concepts for Luke, a version of the Ronin from Star Wars Visions, Jackson, who also originates in Legends but is now also canon, a concept Stormtrooper, and Darkside Vision Yoda from the Clone Wars Season 6. But the Mara Jade has been all the rave this past 24 hours. It's a start, and the craziest thing is that we always talk about, what does Star Wars need to do to regain some of the fans who walked away? And a simple answer in many cases is just adapt more and more of the expanded universe. Turn some of those books into a mini-series, into cartoons, and do more with characters who've been established in some cases for over 30 years. I think Star Wars Starfighter, with Ryan Gosling's character being called Cade, is the start of that. Even if they go their own way to some extent with these characters, even if they have to mold them into modern canon, and sure, to your average cinema goer, to your average Star Wars fan, the expanded universe is pretty niche, but they can use some of those novels as vague blueprints, even if you have to rewrite some of those characters' stories from scratch. But at this point, with the amount of times they bring up Mara, with the amount of times they remind us that the character exists, unless they're planning to do something more with her, they're simply just messing with us. And so now, my dear friends, we're going to move on to an update which very few outlets saw coming, especially with the way the film at hand, The Mandalorian and Grogu, has been covered. I know it wasn't the most groundbreaking Star Wars film ever made, and I've spoken in depth about how I don't think it was the right Star Wars movie for 2026, but nonetheless, and in spite of the poor box office results, I don't think this was the catastrophe a lot of people make it out to be. At every single turn, outlets find ways to bash it. Even just yesterday, in speaking about the success of The Odyssey, The Hollywood Reporter had to bring up The Mandalorian and Grogu as a point of comparison, using it as an example of one of the biggest disappointments of the year so far. And listen, The Mandalorian and Grogu was a fun ride, and I'm not trying to defend it as if it's an amazing movie, but they lumped it in with Supergirl and Moana, which I don't think is fair, especially in the case of the Moana live-action remake. But what I'm saying is, The Mandalorian and Grogu has become something of a joke. It's not the kind of Star Wars film that most fans wanted, especially at a time where Lucasfilm really needs to win the fans back. It wasn't a serious film, but I really don't think it was horrible. That's subjective. But in light of the never-ending bashing of the film, The Mandalorian and Grogu just did something which no one really expected. As you might be aware at this point, thanks to the announcement from StarWars.com, The Mandalorian and Grogu had its home premiere. Not on Disney Plus just yet, that is in the months to come. The physical release is at the end of next month, but I'm talking about in terms of digital. You can buy it online from Prime and other places for about 20 quid. And in just 24 hours, it officially surged to number 1, which is honestly pretty remarkable given its box office. But I guess it goes to show you there is still some curiosity about this film, and those who decided not to see it in the cinema still want to watch it but from the comfort of their own home. And it's just like I've been saying, the day this drops on Disney Plus, it will similarly see a surge, even if it's just out of curiosity, because the first 3 seasons of the show were on the small screen, and there are definitely fans out there who didn't want to go see the film in person, but will watch it when it's on the streaming service. So let's wait and see. But like I say, this was pretty unexpected, and Collider.com says this: The Mandalorian and Grogu has grossed roughly $344 million at the global box office. It's poised to finish its run as the lowest grossing Star Wars movie of all time, ranking even lower than Solo: A Star Wars Story. But, in a surprising twist, the movie has begun to seek redemption. On platforms like Prime Video and Apple TV, in over 50 countries the movie has jumped to the top 10, in some cases reaching the number 1 spot as the most streamed movie this week. And that, my friends, in the eyes of Disney and Lucasfilm is going to be seen as a huge win, and it might make them reconsider the approach of abandoning the small screen, because at the end of the day, The Mandalorian's legacy was on the streaming service, even if the shows have seen diminishing returns, but then again, the movie didn't end up making much money either. That being said, they made quite a big profit through the merch, and Hasbro's numbers demonstrate that fans did go for the action figures. But the most logical question from this update is, what does it mean for the future of the Mandoverse? At the moment, it's kind of hard to comment on, because we really don't know how Lucasfilm is going to take this. We've heard rumors from the likes of Jeff Snyder, but until Star Wars Celebration, or at least D23 Expo next month, we don't know what the future is going to hold, at least for these characters, because Disney and Lucasfilm are going to make decisions probably partially based on these numbers. I say partially based, because Disney representatives said they never expected much from this film. This was never the so-called big test. That's going to be Starfighter, and a trailer is just a month away.